And so I returned from the splendour of the great continent of Europe to Ireland, the country of my birth, in pursuit of the recently widowed Countess of Lyndon and her fabulous fortune. Where I had left as a penniless boy, now I was one of the most famous gentlemen in all Europe, with wealth to the amount of 5,000 guineas, a splendid wardrobe, a jewel case to the value of 2,000 more, and a superb collection of decorated snuff boxes. After the magnificence of Europe's duchies and principalities, Ireland seemed a mean, miserable country. Dublin, dirty and provincial. The Irish, a rabble of filthy, lying beggars. Nonetheless, I managed to find a suitable apartment, and immediately began to plot my siege of the fortress that was the Lady Lyndon. I began to settle into Dublin society, where I cut a figure of the highest fashion and renown, my fame at duelling and gaming having preceded me. I also decided to seek out a gentleman confederate for my grand scheme of carrying off the Lyndon fortune, one I could trust.
You damn scurry! If I knew you to refuse me, I wouldn't have paid you.
Serve the gentleman what he asks for.
Jiminy dear, Redmond! Little Redmond Barry!
Cousin!
Boys, but it's great to see you!
It was a shock to discover my cousin Ulick in such shameful straits, grown very poor and fat. And though I was keen only to be seen with the better sections of the Dublin gentry, still, of all the Bradys, he had been good to me.
Well, your mother, that is Lady Barry, sort of took up with a pastor or minister of religion, Mr. Jowls, and moved some years back with him to Bray in County Wicklow.
Really?
Right enough. They said she was to marry him.
And what of your father, my Uncle Michael?
Oh, both the mother and father are gone now. My brother Mick too. He died in an awful coach accident about 8 years ago.
Far too good for him.
I inherited, though the estate was bankrupted before I got it. I struggled to redeem it, Redmond, but, well, you know how these things is.
And what of Nora and my old enemy Quinn?
Well, you heard that they got married then. I'm awful sorry about that now, Redmond. I know you were always great for my sister Nora, but sure, it couldn't be helped at the time. We needed Quinn's money.
Yes, never mind.
I heard you made a great fortune over in Europe, though. It was all in the gazettes.
Nothing to the fortune I will make, Ulick. Be sure of that.
Oh, that's great.
But I will be needing assistance, Ulick. I am hoping to engage a suitable gentleman.
Well, I'm your man, Redmond.
Now, first of all, we'll need to get inside the Lyndon household.
Righto.
If I can charge you with finding us a suitable informant in the establishment as the first and most pressing of your duties.
That'll be no trouble.
We'll also need a proper equipage, some clothes for you, money for bribes. Tell me, Ulick, do you ever play at cards?
Well, I do now and again, Redmond.
In Germany, I learned a very ingenious technique for winning at faro. The Irish gentry, being somewhat unsophisticated by comparison with their continental cousins, were rather easily impressed by my tales of the great courts of Europe, and within a short time I was attending routs and plays and soirees, the Lord Lieutenant's parties at Dublin Castle, and card schools in all the finest houses. But whereas a boy I had played cash against notes of hand, now I kept my guineas in my pocket. And soon we made important progress on the main front also. Pleased to meet you, Mr. Wiggins.
Sir.
So, your mistress. In mourning, is she?
Yes, sir, of course.
Doesn't see anyone, then?
Well, no, sir, apart from her ladies. And Lord Poynings.
Poynings?
Yes, sir. He has been paying a most marked address to the Countess of late.
Poynings? Which Poynings?
Her cousin Lord George Poynings, son of Lord Tiptoff. It's been said below stairs, sir, as they plan to marry her back into the family once the mourning period's over, to keep hold of the money, sir.
Damnation.
Also, Lord George tips the staff well enough, and he's reckoned by the ladies to be dead handsome. And it's known the Countess is very fond of...
Silence! Enough of Poynings. Go on, out. Ulick, pay him.
That's him there.
Are you sure?
Oh, yes. That's him, all right.
And then the younger Blandish appeared at the prince's birthday at Vauxhall in a high-perched phaeton drawn by 4 Prussian greys.
I must correct you there, sir. Young Lord Blandish only uses chestnut horses. Besides, I was at the event you mentioned. I remember it well.
Who the devil are you?
Lord Poynings, Captain Barry of Ballybarry.
Well, I'm sorry, it was 4 greys. I clearly
And I
remember.
tell you, sir, Blandish uses only chestnut horses.
And I tell you, sir, you are wrong.
Do you call me a liar, sir?
Well, no,
I will not be called a liar in public, sir, and fail to meet the challenge. I demand a meeting.
But I...
Sunrise tomorrow at St. Stephen's Green.
That's settled then. Your choice, Poynings.
Foils.
Good luck, Redmond.
En garde. Stay away from the Countess, Lyndon Poynings.
Who are you, sir?
I am your rival, and I will beat you, sir, and any other man who comes between my love and me. If you want to live, withdraw any interest you have in the lady. Are you beaten, sir?
Yes. Captain Barry, I apologize. I was obviously mistaken about Lord Blandish's horses.
Remember what I said, my lord. She knows I mean business now.
No, she does, surely, Redmond.
She also says you're the most despicable man in Dublin, sir. And she calls you the one St. Patrick missed.
Right, all right. Well, what about Poynings? What does she say about him?
Oh, she sends daily letters to him in Dublin, sir, inquiring after his health.
Huh.
And sends gifts.
We'll place notices that Poynings has taken a turn for the worse and is at death's door, and that I have thought it prudent to remove to England for a period. You arrange through Wiggins that I am notified should the vixen stir from her lair.
But where will you go?
I have another lady, twice as demanding, 10 times more noble, and considerably more terrifying to pay my respects to. Since I had arrived in Ireland, it had been my fondest wish to call upon my dear mother, whom I loved and cherished more than any creature alive. But up unto that point, I had been so totally preoccupied with the business that I hardly had time to think of her.
Mother!
Oh, I to hell with you. 4 months home and only now you think to call on your poor old murder. And you a famous gentleman, and me with hardly a copper penny to my name.
Oh, but, Mother, I've been very busy making a figure in society.
Ah.
And I brought you this gown, especially from the best couturier in all Paris.
Oh, there! Take it back to Paris and tell him I didn't like it. God, clear off!
Look, Mother, I'm in a spot of bother. I had a duel with Lord Tiptoft's son, and I need somewhere to stay.
Is he dead?
Not far off it.
What was the fight over?
He made fun of the family name.
Ah, tramp! 'Tis a damn shame you didn't kill him outright. Come inside. There might be people watching.
My mother, who knew the workings of the very best families, assured me George Poynings fancied himself a chivalrous buck, and would most likely play the gallant loser if I were to effect a reconciliation. Therefore, some days later, I embarked on a mission to Dublin. I mean you no ill, Poynings, but I love the lady. We have been correspondents for some time now, ever since our first meeting at Spa. She sends me letters filled with the most ardent passions.
Really?
Continuously, my friend. And I am so entranced by her noble sentiments, I have fallen entirely in love with her.
How improper of her.
So, is he big with her, your fella?
Oh, yeah, for sure. They've been friends these years. What about your one?
Oh, he's very big with the Countess, Captain Barry. You should see the letters he sends him.
Ah, sure, she sends sackfuls here too. Sometimes 3 letters in a day.
So, what sort of things does she write then?
Ah, sure, I wouldn't know. I can't read.
Is there any chance at all you'd give us a look at a couple of them? Just out of interest, like, you know.
I don't know now.
I'd bring them right back. They'd never be missed. And it'd be worth a drink to you.
I suppose so.
Ah, you're a good man, so you are. Well, go get them then.
I'll show you them. I have so many, I will even give you them. She maintains in her correspondence her fidelity to me, George. You have been misled.
Really? I'm speechless, Barry. If what you say is true, then she has behaved dreadfully.
I'll call with the letters, my lord. You will see. Get them?
Got them.
Good. Need a copyist now. So, you see, Poynings, it is clear the Countess favours me.
Such duplicity. These letters are almost exactly like the ones she sends me. The shamelessness of it, and to play me for a fool so.
Make no mistake, though. I don't want to have to kill you, Poynings. But as you can see from these, I have a legitimate claim on the Countess, and I intend to press it. And any man who comes between my prize and me will feel the sharp end of my sword, as you have done. So, the choice is entirely yours, my friend.
Well, dignity demands that I quit the field. I shall write a letter this very instant, telling the lady I no longer wish to correspond with her.
Captain, sorry to interrupt. Could I distract you for just a moment? Poynings' letter seems to have had the desired effect. The quarry has revealed itself.
Indeed.
She's on the way to her house in Merrion Square. Wiggins was sent up this morning from Kildare to make it ready.
I will have her now, you'll see. For if ever a man was born to make a fortune through bravery and skill, it was I. Now the hunt could truly begin. I sent gifts in advance for the Countess and Lord Bullingdon, her son, to her Merrion Square home.
You dreadful man.
My lady...
Leave me alone, sir.
There's not the remotest hope of that.
Brickley, make sure that man is kept out of my house.
There you go, Brickley. Buy yourself a drink. You may have closed the door on me now, but you'll have to open it to me many times.
When her kinswoman, Lady Lumley, called, sir, she said you was a bête noire. She said you was stalking her like a prey, and that every time she goes out in her carriage, you're there to hand her down. And you're there in the next pew when she goes to church, and there to open the door when she goes to the mercies. She said she despised the look of his black serpent eyes. Well, I think that's...
Yes, well, it's only a matter of time now. She's obviously fascinated by me.
Well, I'm not so sure, Captain, actually. I mean, I'm the one what...
Who asked you? Get out! Get out before I throw you out!
Thus I continued my pursuit of the richest prize in Ireland, but not without challenges. And in the aftermath of Poynings' withdrawal, I pinked 2 more rivals to protect the position I had established. The others were not so lucky as Poynings, who made a full recovery. It reached the point when all males in her company would scatter at the sight of my green liveries and bay mare. I took to following the Countess when she went out on amusements, but soon found that by bribing her servants I could usually discover in advance where she was going, and be there before her to arrange pleasant surprises.
Now, would you like me to read the cards of the crystal?
The crystal, please. What is it?
You have been married once, I see.
Yes.
A good man, he is dead.
Yes.
But he wishes you well from the spirit world.
Oh.
There is another man, the man you will marry.
What?
Yes, you will marry again, and soon.
But who to?
Your first husband gives his blessing. He says this is the man you must marry.
But what does he look like?
He is tall and very handsome, and has the darkest eyes, nearly black. He rides a fine bay mare and has green livery.
No!
That was very good, Maggie Rose. Very convincing. Here.
Wait till you hear, Edmund.
Well,
She's leaving for England, fleeing from you.
she's a difficult woman to keep pace with.
You're pressing her very hard, Squire. She fled the Earl of Kilkillenkeel's ball on Tuesday because she thought she saw you. And sure, you were in Bray.
It's the only way. The hair may twist and turn, Ulick, but the dogs will have her. We're so often seen in the same company, people are beginning to gossip she's really very fond of me.
Oh, and I'm sure there's an element of truth in it.
Even that wretched footman Wiggins is desperate to be friendly to me, knowing I'll soon be his new master.
So, what'll you do?
Book us passage on the first ship to England. I want to be there at Holyhead to help her down the gangplank. In addition, place notices in all the London and Dublin gazettes stating that I left Dublin yesterday. That'll give the impression that the lady is following me. I set off for England for the final hand in the game, resolved to play like a man of fortune. I was only gambling with my time and money. My unfortunate lady gambled with her reputation. When the Countess saw me at the docks, she had to be helped down the plank. It was to become the scandal of the season. I followed her to London, establishing myself in a hotel on Piccadilly, and renewing my links within my future household. I hope you bring better news this time, Wiggins.
Oh, I do, sir. Yesterday at court, the Queen turned her back on Lady Lyndon, sir, and spoke in an audible voice about ladies that chase after scoundrel adventurers, sir.
Oh, yes, we have her, we have her. Yes, Redmond, yes.
Good show, we're nearly there.
Please, Captain Barry, I appeal to you.
Lady Lyndon, I intend to make you my wife.
You have no idea what this is doing to me. I am a pariah in polite society. People turn their backs as I pass. Even my son, Lord Bullingdon, scorns my company. My life is in ruins, sir.
I am sorry for that, madam.
Please leave me alone. All I want is for you to leave me alone.
Lady, I intend to make you my wife, and I shall travel to the ends of the earth to achieve that goal if necessary. And only your death, or mine, can prevent that match. Shortly afterwards, the Countess, who thought herself too good for me, who had feigned disinterest, and had put me to 1,000 vexations, realized the futility of her silly egotism, and conceded the game. The marriage ceremony was performed at St. George's, Hanover Square, and afterwards a magnificent ball and supper was given at our home in Berkeley Square. Of course, Lady Lyndon's son, Lord Bullingdon, created something of a disturbance, calling me a highwayman and a beggar, and I knew I should soon have to protect myself against him. Nonetheless, it was the social event of the season. I was now arrived at the very pitch of prosperity, having by my own merits and energy raised myself to one of the highest social positions that any man in England or Ireland could occupy. True, most of England and Ireland looked upon me as an adventurer and a pirate, but my critics on the whole were very mediocre people, and I did not care a fig for their opinions. Before quitting London for Hackton Castle, the oldest and grandest of my wife's ancestral seats in Devon, I procured His Majesty's gracious permission to add the name of my wife to my own. Where formerly I had been simple Redmond Barry, thenceforward I assumed the style and title of Captain Barry Lyndon. Looking back, it seems clear to me that, like most great men, I was born to make fortunes, not keep them. I believed there was no limit to my fortune, and I set about making use of it in the proper style. I threw balls and routs and dinners, inviting the great and the not-so-great, and showing the same astonishing generosity to the ploughman as to the duke. My mother, who had quickly become estranged from Mr. Giles, I had installed at Castle Lyndon, our estate in Ireland, where she could live in the grandeur of style most suited to her delicate nature, and where she would least intrude upon my own sports. Of course, my wife, as is the habit of a wife, continued to disapprove of my simple pleasures, and to affect a dislike of me, though I suspect this was as much awe as anything, for I left her in no doubt as to who was the master of the house.
It is out of hand, Barry.
You entertain merchants and farmers and tavern landlords in my home, treating them to the best wines in the cellars and the finest dinners. You gamble continuously, though with little of your form of fortune, and you drink till the footmen must carry you to bed.
You wish to tell me how to live? Be quiet, woman! I will not be told.
You make lewd suggestions to the serving girls.
Ha!
You smoke tobacco at table and fill the rooms with its odours. And then you spit on the rug, sir.
I said quiet!
My wife was a stranger to the refined way of living, and I determined to make some fundamental changes to life at Castle Hackton. In the first instance, I found the castle itself, which dates from the reign of King Henry V, rather gloomy and old-fashioned, a queer composition of all sorts of ancient battlements and feudal towers and rough walls, totally unsuited to a buck of my renown, and I decided to improve it. To oversee my grand designs, I was lucky to obtain, at substantial cost, the services of Monsieur Cornichon, the celebrated French architect, who had worked for His Most Christian Majesty Louis XV, and who was an expert in the modern classical French Greek style.
You see, we tear down these features, very ugly, totalement affreux. This drawbridge, the tower, la moat, all down.
Yes.
And then we replace with the terraces, the parterres, and the chateau, much windows. You see?
I see.
And then we design the interior.
How much will you give me for the whole lot?
What? Everything in this room?
No, everything in all the rooms.
Oh, I don't know now, Your Grace.
It's Captain Lyndon.
Captain Lyndon, sir. Some of them old chairs are just eaten up with a woodworm. Oh, and that table, it would hardly stand up under the weight of a decent dinner. As you yourself know, sir.
Well?
Mind you, the armchairs next door ain't too bad.
Your price, man, name the price.
£120?
Where's the furniture?
I sold it.
You sold my furniture. For how much?
For £100, if you must know. It was all old clutter and rubbish anyway. Don't worry, I've ordered new pieces. They arrive tomorrow.
£100? Are you out of your mind, sir? Those armchairs were a gift from the Princess Caroline. They must have been worth £1,500 alone.
I think I know what a few sticks of furniture are worth.
Clearly you do not, when you sell tens of thousands worth of fine pieces for £100.
Resistance to my improvements came from all quarters, but most especially from the uncultured country nobility, particularly that dreadful old steady Lady Tiptoff, our neighbour, my wife's aunt, and George Porning's mother. She had initially taken exception when I ordered Cornichon to refit the chapel at Hackton as a small theatre, and many's the dull afternoon I used to amuse myself by eavesdropping on her horrified complaints.
Lady Tiptoff, Miss Poynings, madam.
Oh. Aunt Prudence and Juliana, do come in.
Oh, Juliana, I order you not to look at that painting.
My apologies. Brickley, can you hang something over, Venus and Cupid?
Honoraria, this must stop. First I hear that your husband intends to defile the house of God, and then I come here with my young and impressionable daughter to find the walls decked with obscenities and looking-glasses and naked sculpture at every turn. It is disgusting, Honoraria. How you can live in such a bordello is beyond understanding.
I have little choice, Aunt. And besides, it is all the fashion in France.
Precisely. And we know exactly what sort of people the French are. It's lewd and disgusting.
At any rate, Aunt, I am sure you did not call to make observations about my husband's taste in interior design.
No, indeed. We are here on a much more serious matter. Even as we speak, your husband's workmen are laying waste to Hackton Rockery.
No.
Yes?
We'll sell all this here, and then buy bogland over here. The estate will be undiminished on the map, and it'll raise a fair few thousand.
That's ingenious, Redmond.
I am sorry to interrupt, but I must speak with you.
Can't you see I'm busy?
It's rather important. I have some news.
Well, it'll have to wait. I have too much on my hands.
I'll go and speak to the land agent.
My lord, I really must speak with you.
Are you still here? What is it?
I am expecting a child.
I'll order the work stopped at once. You must have peace and quiet. Nothing must imperil the safe delivery of my heir.
Oh, Redmond, I hope this makes you happy, and we can live in some sort of peace.
Madam, nothing in the world could make me happier.
Oh, congratulations, Squire. Yeah. To your child, sir.
To my child.
And may it be as healthy and as prosperous as its father.
Yes. I want the wood on Bullingdon Glen harvested. All of it. My son will have an endowment. It's a pity it's not oak. My wife's ancestors cheated me there.
Tiptoff will kick up a din.
He can say what he likes. It's not his property.
As you say.
And speak to Mr. McMorrigal, the broker. I wish to ensure my wife's life. My child will never be left a penniless orphan. Well...
It's a boy, Captain. A bouncing, healthy boy, £11. And the Countess is just fine. Go on, sir.
Oh, my lord. Oh, my son.
He's so big.
We'll call him Brian, after my ancestor, the High King.
Brian.
Well done, Countess.
Redmond.
You must rest. Gentlemen, I am a father! Ulick, have my coach made ready for London. Lord Ballyraggett, I hope you will accompany me. We must celebrate the birth of my heir in proper style. We'll dine at Boodle's, drink our way round the Vauxhall Gardens, and finish up at Madam Cox's house. I had Cornichon start work immediately on the grandest nursery in Ireland, the last word in infantile refinement. It was built in the Chinese Doric style, and I sent a footman to London to register my son on the lists of all the most fashionable clubs in St. James. Fatherhood proved to be quite an expensive business. Naturally, the honeymoon with my wife could not last, she being determined to curtail my amusements and to pour cold water on my contentment. Inevitably, differences arose between us. However, now I had aces in my hand, and I played them with daring.
What is this?
It's a banker's draft. Sign it.
What is the money for?
Never mind what the money is for. Sign!
I refuse to sign unless I know what it is for.
You want to know what it is for, madam? Well, I shall tell you. It's to pay my gaming debts at Burnley's club, and that's what it's for.
I will not sign it, then.
Ha ha! But you will.
What? Do you mean to strike me, sir? Strike me, then. You have struck me before now.
Sign the damn paper!
I refuse to sit idly by and watch my family fortune, won over centuries by my ancestors, gambled and frittered away in this fashion.
You will sign that draft, lady, or I'll have your son moved to Ireland to the care of my mother, and you will never see him again.
You wouldn't dare.
How little you know me.
You are a monster.
Sign.
That's a 10. 10. Aren't you a clever boy? And that's the knave. The knave.
I have those lists you wanted, Captain.
Look at him, my son.
Ah, he's a strapping wee man, so he is. Aren't you a wee bruiser, Brian? Yar, so yar.
When he grows up, everyone will treat him as a gentleman. On coming of age, he'll have a title. He'll be a nobleman.
That's great, sure.
But I will not suffer him to look on his father with shame or pity, Hewlett, because I have no title.
What do you propose to do, Squire?
I will have a title for myself, of course, as befits my wealth and status.
That'll be a tough one to bring off.
Perhaps, but I will spare no effort or expense in it. It's for my son's good.
Your pappy's going to get himself a coronet, Master Brian, and then you'll all be lords together.
For many generations, my neighbours and kinsmen, the Tiptoffs, had occupied the local parliamentary seat and continued to do so unchallenged, as of right, buying their support and distributing favours. I decided the situation could not be allowed to continue, and in my pursuit of an eventual peerage, I set myself the first task of becoming elected as local Member of Parliament. The chance presented itself when old Tiptoff stood down in favour of his son, my former adversary, Lord George Poynings. Who are our most important targets, then?
Well, there's Squire Hogg, let's see, Mr. Skiffings, Alderman Weaselwood.
Put Hogg and the alderman down for the Grand Gala Ball.
Yes, I have the names.
Lesser individuals find out what they need. If their son perhaps needs a job, or if they need perhaps a loan for a new roof. You get the idea?
Yes. How much do we have?
Well, I shall have to sell something. Don't worry about that. Spend what you need to. The prize will be worth it. I want to talk to you.
If it is about this silly election, I think you're wasting your time.
I didn't come for your opinion. And anyway, I intend to win.
You might well win, but it won't do you any good. All you will succeed in doing is setting the Tiptoffs against you, and they really are far above your level in influence, Barry.
I came here to tell you that, as my wife, you must take a more active role in the campaign.
Under no circumstances,
You
sir.
must! Poynings is spreading the most scandalous stories about that I am profligate and debauched, that I am cruel to you. It is vital that you appear with me to counter their slander.
Slander, sir. It is every word the truth. You treat me as a possession and milk me for what wealth I have, and that you may drink and gamble to your heart's content. I will take no part in your campaign against the truth.
Ulick!
Yes, Redmond.
Get the boy ready. He's going to visit his grandmother.
Oh, sure, he's ready and all, Chief. Trunks in the coach and everything.
Thank you. I'll be right there.
Someday, sir, that trick will not work.
Get yourself attired, madam. We have to be in Hackton Village Hall by 3 o'clock. I was elected with a majority of 6 votes. The day I was to make my maiden speech in the House of Commons, I spent 2 hours at my toilet and dressed in the finest clothes imaginable. And for the occasion, I hired a beautiful gilt coach.
Order! Member for Hackton and Lower Tipton, Mr. Barry Lyndon, sir.
My dear friends, lords, speaker there, it's a great pleasure to be here with you. I want to address you on a pressing matter, a dreadful matter. Go on, you beggars! If you won't hear me, then damn the lot of you! The whole affair was a splendid success, and there can have been no doubt whatever in the minds of those assembled that here was a man who meant to be the very height of fashion. Even the good Chevalier, my uncle, was kind enough to send a congratulatory letter. To press my case for a peerage, I engaged the Earl of Crabs, a rather haughty nobleman, but one who had the ear of the highest personage in the land. My lord, come in.
Lyndon.
Will you have a drink, sir?
I'll have a whiskey.
2 whiskies, Brickley. So, how is our project proceeding?
Our project, Mr. Lyndon?
Was His Majesty pleased with the company of infantry I raised for his campaigns in America? I hope that my allowing my stepson, Lord Bullington, to go would also add weight.
Allowing him, Lyndon? The boy couldn't wait to get off with him.
I rather fancied the Viscount Barry Oak had an authentic ring to it.
Look, Lyndon, I may as well be straight with you. His Majesty said it was a damn shame you didn't go with the infantry company yourself. His exact words to me were, I think a halter more fitting than a coronet. Forget about the peerage, Lyndon. You haven't a chance.
You fraud, sir. How dare you?
How dare I what?
How dare you take fortunes of my money and encourage my hopes, and then tell me you have no more influence than will win me the Pope's tiara.
I'm telling you honestly how the matter stands, Lyndon.
Then I demand, sir, that you return to me the money I gave you to advance my case, as you clearly have not earned it.
Rot in hell, you infernal scoundrel! You have the manners of a courier!
You will not speak to me so! Brickley, show the Earl out. The story of my chastisement of the Earl was all over London the next day, and by the end of the week the print shops were full of pictures of me boxing that scamp and swindler. And though my popularity in the highest quarters suffered considerably as a result, yet I was admired by the common folk. Having fallen out with a senior figure in the government, I swung right round to the opposition, becoming something of a champion of the people, and was cheered wherever I went during the Gordon disturbances of 1780. Unfortunately, at the next election, using every kind of bribery, trickery and deception, Poynings took my seat.
Well, is the counting completed?
It is, Squire.
And?
Sorry, Captain.
Damn them. I spent a fortune on this.
They had half the county out against you, Chief.
The champagne bill alone came to £400.
There's another wee problem.
What?
Ballyraggett wants the loan repaid by the end of the month.
That odious, inflated farmer. The nerve of the man after the hospitality I've shown him.
You can't fault him, Redmond. It's nearly a year
You can't
overdue.
fault him. I'll knock your damn block off, you ignorant lump. How dare you?
I'm sorry, Captain.
Get out, get out, get out, get out!
Now, draw mustachios on Uncle Ulick. Go on. Good boy. Good boy.
Come on, Brady, we have work to do. Brickley, take the child.
Do you want to go out, Brian? Do you want to go out on a pony? Take him out on the pony.
That's everything we owe out?
Which ones are not urgent?
Those two.
Oh. Which ones do I owe personally?
This lot here. About £96,000 worth.
That's money I've spent in the upkeep and improvement of this estate. My own money. I can justly say that this property is indebted to me in that sum.
Well...
Mortgage it.
Mortgage what?
Mortgage the estate, idiot. What else is left to mortgage?
Captain Lyndon, sir. Come quickly. It's Master Brian.
Brian! No! No!
There he lay, the hope of my family, the pride of my manhood and my happiness. I had bought the boy a little pony for his 3rd birthday, over the protests of my wife, to teach him the rudiments of riding. He looked just like a young prince astride it, in his velvet riding coat and tiny boots, his feet barely reaching the stirrups, driving his little heels into its back to make it trot. The pony bolted on him. He fell badly, and it was the death of him. My grief cannot be described, nor my guilt. And naturally my poor wife was inconsolable.
Ulick! Brickley! Quick, bandages, get bandages, get bandages!
What is it?
Honoraria.
Heavens above.
Honoraria, wake up, wake up. Honoraria. Go to Hackton, Ulick. That's the doctor. Quick, man, go, go!
Even in mourning for one's only son, the cares of running a huge estate do not go away. If my foolish wife were to succeed in ending her miserable existence, her first son, Bullingdon, would inherit and gleefully return from the colonies to run me out of my home. I stood to lose everything if I failed to act decisively.
Where is Patricia? Why do my servants not answer me?
Because I have dismissed them, and that fool Brickley as well.
You did what, sir?
They cannot be trusted. Where were they when you were in your hour of need?
In my hour of need. That is what a husband is for, Barry. That is what children are for. And I have neither now.
Your foolish act has endangered our whole estate, and precautions have to be taken. I cannot be responsible for the stability of your mind, but I can govern your actions, and will, madam. I have arranged for you to have new, more reliable staff. And also, because of your rashness, I have decided you must not be left unattended. In addition, as you cannot be trusted with sharp instruments, you will take your meals in your chamber under supervision.
You wish to make a prisoner of me? In my own home?
You are the author of your own fortunes, my dear. Consider yourself lucky. I have mind to take such care of you. By chance I received a letter from my relative, Nora Brady Quinn, around that time, which, as well as offering sincerest condolences for the loss of my son, asked a dispensation for her own. Redmond Quinn had been to college and had a knowledge of Greek, Latin, philosophy, and such other things as had always been of interest to the Countess. Therefore, I generously offered to employ him as her serving man. Her ladyship, as you know, suffers from a malady of the senses. It is of the greatest importance to me, Redmond, that she be kept from harm, but also kept amused. And so I shall expect you to amuse her with your books and philosophers and high-minded conversation. Above all, she must not be allowed time to reflect upon her loss.
I fully understand, Captain.
Of equal importance is that in her correspondence she be not allowed to dwell upon the causes of her despair, and I shall depend upon you to intercept what letters she writes and bring them directly to me.
Yes, sir.
And also any letters she may receive. This is of the utmost importance.
As you wish, Captain.
Nothing must disturb the lady's peace of mind, nothing. And no one.
Of course not. You can rely on me, sir.
Redmond, you must understand that in her present delicate state, my wife is inclined to say all manner of foolish things. And you should not believe any of them, especially anything she may say about my having been cruel to her. I have never had anything but my wife's best interests at heart.
The very nerve of them. They would refuse to advance me such a loan against the wealth of an estate such as this.
Quite so, Captain.
Those miserable bankers have no respect for the terrible loss I've suffered. They see a wounded animal and they think to pick over my bones. But I'll not make a meal for the vultures.
Unfortunately, 2 more Duns arrived today, sir. The agents are waiting at the gate even now.
Whose men are they?
McMorrigal's man, and the one from Samuelson and Goldblatt in London.
Vermin! Time to rusticate to Castle Lyndon, I think.
Before we left, I thought it wise to liquidate some of the assets of the estate, and so I ordered the avenue at Castle Hackton cut down for timber. And as I was in rather a hurry to sell, I had to accept the price, which, in this day, would be considered nothing short of theft.
You, sir, you are no better than a common thief. How could you? This is the investment of generations. It did not belong to you. You have vandalized one of the great houses of England. You have torn down ancient battlements and built up the most hideous folly. And now you deface its grounds, too.
Your opinion, lady, of my taste in architecture and landscaping is irrelevant.
You have none, Barry. And my opinion in regards to this house is certainly relevant. It is my house. One day it will belong to my son, Lord Bullingdon. And I will not stand by and watch you run it to ruin.
You will not have to. We are removing to Ireland. I have instructed your maids to prepare your trunk. We leave in the morning.
The crossing to Ireland was insufferable. Bad weather and high seas made worse by the lady's dreadful seasickness, which caused me no end of disturbance. On disembarkation we found a suitable carriage, which was comfortably decked out within, but the condition of the Irish roads beyond Dublin, as ever, rendered this largely irrelevant, and again Madam made further misery of it with her endless grumbling. It was with great relief that eventually we reached Castle Lyndon and the end of our journey.
So, you decided to visit your old mother, did you? 2 years and 4 months I've been sat here, not a word out of you, not so much as a letter. You have a nerve, showing up as you do. And I suppose you expect me to have the castle all set up for you, and the food ordered in, and the servants drilled. Well, I haven't.
You will go up to my mother's suite and make our apologies and attempt to soothe her.
I will not.
You will do as I instruct.
I have been 5 days travelling. I am exhausted and hungry and unwashed, and I have been received at my own home most rudely. And I refuse, point, to go on your word, sir, and crawl in supplication before that evil Irish witch, that Sycorax, that is your mother.
You venomous harlot! You may insult that noble lady, madam, whom you are not fit to look upon, but mark me, my mother will tame you. Oh, yes, she will.
Things were much easier for me in Ireland. My reputation was yet good there, and there were many places where I could raise capital without giving account of my income. In the meantime, Redmond Quinn watched my lady and intercepted any communications which she had with the world beyond.
Captain.
Well, what have we today?
One to her Aunt Lady Tiptoff, and one to her mercer.
Let me see. 14 yards of cerise calico, 3 of the silk in a chocolate hue, buttons, gauze, payment on account as according to our usual arrangement. She spends my money rather lavishly on her appearance, for one who has never seen. As the months passed, I grew to have great confidence in my nephew, and he discharged his duties admirably. Things would have continued thus without any incident, had Quinn not been delayed one morning in Lyndon, on account of which Ulick received the mail. Yes?
The mail has been...
Anything for her?
Just 2, from the mercer.
Ulick was easily the most dim-witted person in my employ, but he had a certain simple perspicacity which I have often overlooked to credit him with.
And she's asked me to have this sent.
Who's it to?
The mercer again.
Fine lace trim with the spiral pattern, 21 yards of the heavier serge in buttercup. Braided gold silk cord, 8 yards.
Boys, but she spends a lot on the mercer, does your wife, Squire?
Fleur-de-lis fasteners in brass. What?
I say she spends a heap at the mercer's, the Countess. It's a marvel they aren't on to you for it.
I don't remember any deliveries of cloth. Fetch me the demands book. Let's see what we owe them. Something's up.
What?
We don't owe them anything. Nothing.
That can't be right.
Pass me that candle. Look.
Lord bless us.
Sly vixen. Damn her.
Find Quinn, Ulick. Bring him to me, immediately. Written between the lines of her letter in lemon juice, so as to be invisible to the eye unless held up to the light, was a detailed communication with the dreadful George Poynings, otherwise the mercer. In it the lady falsely accused me of being her jailer and her torturer, and called me demon and brute, and 100 other names, always importuning Poynings to rescue her before she was forced to take her life, as before she had tried. And, to my great surprise, my kinsman, Redmond Quinn, was implicated.
Woman, where are you? You wish to escape me, eh?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Don't lie to me! You have been discovered. It's all here in the letters. You were to escape tonight. Quinn was to spirit you out, and Poynings to collect you at the west gate. Don't worry, madam. I have set traps for both those foxes, and will pay them generously for their intrigue against me.
Do you blame me? I am caged here in my own home, treated like an animal. Nay, worse then, when you ruin my estate with your folly and your gluttony and your gambling. I would do anything I could to escape you.
He's gone.
Gone where?
He never came back from the village. Jimmy Fogarty saw him riding like blazes for Nina 3 hours ago.
So much for our nephew.
And someone must have roped him off to it.
Trade twice in the same day.
If you want to get hold of him, Squire, he's easy found. He'll surely be at our notice.
Damn him. He won't be back.
All right, just forget about it. Sure, who would come against you? You're an Amadan rotten Barry.
Quinn's had his card marked. I don't need to go after him. He knows if he shows his face here, I'll spit him like a pigeon.
Yeah, I'll let him go because of your attachment to Nora, I know it. And you'll pay a price for your silly sentimentality. 'Tis a damn fool that doesn't take down his enemy, Redmond, when he has a chance. If you were a hunting dog, you'd be shot.
He wouldn't dare take me on. What can he do? I have nothing to fear from him.
You can tell the liars where you are. He can cut off your lines of credit and leave you scrambling for a few pound. Quinn knows your business, Redmond. He was your clerk. Think of the damage you'll be able to do to your good name. Oh, aye.
As ever, my dear mother was proven right. Very quickly I found myself fighting a rearguard action against a battalion of lawyers. Damned lawyers. They are the worst of thieves and robbers. Then a glimmer of hope appeared. A firm of London merchants replied to my inquiries about a loan, and not only did they agree to provide one, but at very generous terms.
Where is the pitfall?
There is no pitfall. Only that, owing to the preponderance of stories circulating publicly about the state of health of the Countess, your wife, whose estate and effects comprise the main security on the aforementioned loan, we would request that the good lady act as your guarantor with her signature.
The offence of it!
And we would require that she travel to London with you to sign the document at our office on the date above.
Oh, no. There's something wrong, Redmond. The terms are too generous. Don't accept it.
Well, don't be absurd, Mother. Are we to refuse credit because the interest is too low? You underestimate my reputation. The merchants have undoubtedly heard stories of my legendary luck.
'Tis a trap. I'm telling you. Something's not right.
So you're too protective, Mother. And anyway, we have no choice. We need the money. We will go.
And how will you get there? You have no money.
I'll sell something.
What will you sell? There's not much left to sell, Redmond. Take it. 'Tis all I have.
Oh, Mother, you're a marvel.
If I could dissuade you from going, I would, Redmond. Oh, promise me you'll be careful.
Don't worry. It will all be fine. Before Lady Lyndon and myself set off the following day, I received news that my beloved uncle, Cornelius, Chevalier de Ballybarry, had died at the court of the great Sultan in Constantinople. Thus it was in mourning that the lady and I set off for London, travelling in an ordinary hack chaise and pair under the name of Mr. and Mrs. Jones to avoid the attentions of my tormentors. No one took the slightest notice of us. The London traffic was heavy as ever. Nonetheless, we found the offices of the firm of merchants, Hambottom, Puskis and Wise, on Cheapside without difficulty.
Come in, Captain, Lady Lyndon. Do take a seat.
So, which are you then? Hambottom, Puskis or Wise?
Oh, I'm none of them, sir. I'm just a mere clerk. Someone will be with you presently.
What a damn funny fellow. There's something not quite right here. Damn you, Countess, have you set a trap for me?
It's no more than you deserve, Barry. You have kept me in a cage since the day I married you.
You treacherous she-devil.
Ah, we have you now, Barry.
Oh, Lord George, my saviour.
Well, Barry, will you go quietly?
I'll send you to your grave first, Poynings.
I drew back my sword arm, and would have made mincemeat of the lot of them, or died in the attempt, but that there were 6 very big constables, not to mention the bailiffs, Poynings, and of course my treacherous relative Redmond Quinn.
Hellfire. Curse you, Poynings! I know when I'm beaten.
I was sent down and imprisoned at Fleet Prison. My wife was divorced from me on grounds of what the magistrate called my cruelty to her, yet declined to marry Poynings, and he found a suitable replacement soon after. And yet the Countess must surely have retained a sentimental fondness for me, for she saw fit to grant me a small annuity, which allowed me to return to the gentlemen's quarters in the prison.
Oh, you're a fine one, writing letters to her that put you here. Thanking her for her kindness, is it?
Oh, you're a fool, Redmond Barry. Some son of roaring Harry Barry you are, sitting here moping about your fate and making no attempt whatever to change it. Where's your spirit, man? There's a dozen ways you could get out of this place. Now I've had a wee take.
My mother, though over 90 and bent double, is still a lady of great bearing and dignity. She comes to visit me every day from a small room in Fleet Market, which she is able to keep with her own savings, and brings me what fresh food she can afford. As for the estates, Lord Bullingdon returned from America, having distinguished himself in that campaign to take over management of them. Almost no trace remains of my famous and glorious season as one of Europe's first gentlemen. I have been in this prison 16 years, have shriveled into an old man within its walls. And yet they have not beaten me. Some day I, and Poynings, and Hackton, and all the courts of Europe will be dust. When we die, we take nothing with us, and leave nothing behind us but our fame. And what does it matter if I die a nameless pauper in the dungeons of a debtor's prison? Once I lived as the bravest and most famous adventurer of my generation, a dazzling ornament of the highest society in the world. It is not with stories of George Poynings or Redmond Quinn the peasants of Ireland will regale their children on the dark winter nights when they drink their potheen against the cold. No, they will tell tales of the wildness and daring and the wickedness of Barry Lyndon.
In episode 2 of Thackeray's Barry Lyndon, dramatised by Don McCampbell, the part of Barry was played by Gerard McSorley, Lady Lyndon by Tina Kelleher, Ulick by Dara Kelly, and Belle Barry by Sheila Hancock. The Earl of Crabs was Kenneth Cranham, Wiggins, Jamie Foreman, Lord George Poynings and Cornichon, Don Wycherley, Redmond Quinn, Andrew Scott, Maggie Rose and Lady Tiptoff, Doreen Keogh, Brendan, Aina MacLiam, and the furniture dealer, Mark Lambert. Barry Lyndon was directed in Belfast by Lawrence Jackson.